All right. If you're a homeowner, or you're even thinking about buying a home, there's one question that's probably on your mind. What is my home actually going to be worth in a couple of years? Well, today we're going to dive right into what the experts are forecasting for 2026 to try and figure that out.
So, let's just cut to the chase, right? Will your home's value actually go up in 2026? It's the million-dollar question. And for some of us, that's literally true. Well, the quick answer from pretty much all the experts is yes. They're expecting prices to go up. But, and you knew there was a but, right? The real story here is way more complicated than just a simple yes on a sales sign. Okay, so let's really dig into this. To get a handle on what 2026 might look like, you've got to see who's saying what. Because believe me, not all the experts see eye to eye.
I mean, just look at this. The range in these predictions is, wow. You've got the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, on one end, super optimistic, talking about a 4% jump. But then you have these other heavy hitters like Fannie Mae and Zillow, and they are way more cautious, predicting something closer to just 1%. That is a huge difference of opinion.
And yeah, the guy from NAR, their chief economist, Lawrence Yun, he is not mincing words here. He comes right out and says that home prices are in no danger of declining. I mean, that's a really confident claim, right? It totally anchors that optimistic end of the spectrum.
But, and this is where things get really interesting, a higher price tag on your house doesn't automatically mean you're richer. Nope. There's this other sneaky little force at play that can eat away at your gains. And that force is, of course, inflation.
So this leads us to this really important idea, housing wealth. It's a simple concept, really. You're only building actual wealth if your home's value grows faster than inflation. If it doesn't, well, that bigger price tag is just an illusion. It actually buys you less than it used to.
And look, this chart just lays it all out perfectly. The forecast for inflation in 2026 is around 2.6%. So what happens when you put these numbers side by side? Only that super rosy 4% forecast from the NAR actually beats inflation and builds you real wealth. In those other scenarios from Fannie Mae and Zillow, your home's value is technically losing purchasing power. You're going backwards. Okay, so you're probably asking, why are some of these experts so cautious? Why the long face? Well, it all comes down to the most classic story in economics, supply and demand. Let's break it down. On one side, you have supply. The number of homes for sale is actually starting to go up, which is new. That gives buyers more options, a little more power. Then, on the other side, you have demand. And that's being held in check mainly because mortgage rates are probably going to hover around 6%. And that, as you know, makes it tough for a lot of people to afford a home. And this isn't just a theory. The chief economist for the Mortgage Bankers Association basically connects the dots for us. More houses on the market, more inventory, means there's downward pressure on prices. It's really just Econ 101 in action.
Okay, now we get to what might be the most important piece of the puzzle, location. I mean, the national average is fine, but it's just an average. The story where you live could be completely different.
And this quote here from S&P Dow Jones Indices just nails it. They talk about a geographic rotation. You know all those markets that were the pandemic darlings, the places everyone was moving to? Well, a lot of those are the very same places that are cooling off now. Some are even seeing prices drop.
So where's the heat moving to? This table tells the story pretty clearly. You're seeing these more traditional, stable markets in the Northeast and Midwest. We're talking Chicago, New York, Cleveland. They're seeing some really solid growth. But meanwhile, those pandemic boomtowns, especially in Florida and Texas, places like Miami, Austin, Nashville, they're really hitting the brakes. It kind of feels like the market is snapping back to its pre-2020 patterns.
Okay, we've gone through a ton of stuff here, right? From the big national forecasts to what's happening block by block. So let's boil it all down. What does this actually mean for you?
All right, here are the 4 big things to keep in your back pocket. First, expect some growth, but don't expect the crazy price jumps we saw a couple of years ago. It's going to be modest. Second, keep your eye on inflation. That's the magic number that tells you if you're actually building wealth or not. Third, it has never been more true. Location, location, location. Your local market is the only one that really matters. And finally, if you're a buyer, there's a silver lining. More houses on the market might just give you a little more breathing room, maybe even some bargaining power.
So that leaves us with one final question, and this one's for you to think about. When you look at your own town, your own neighborhood, is it one of those steady, safe havens, or is it a cooling hotspot? Figuring that out is really the key to understanding what 2026 has in store for your home.